Today, we're going to be going over this application template that Microsoft makes available within Power Apps, and it is an onboarding tasks type of application. So if you need to onboard employees, this is a great template, at least to get ideas from. However, what I want to do is make sure that this application works. So if somebody wanted to use this, that there aren't any errors coming up, anything like that. And this is the beginning of a project where I'm going to go through all of the templates and make sure all of them work and provide copies of them uh, so you guys could use them if you want to. So I'm going to get out of full screen mode here, and I'm going to go into make.powerapps.com. And I want to show you all of the templates that are out there because you might be interested in that. And I'm going to click on start with an app template. Now I'm not really in the right environment. There we go. And I'm going to click on start with an app template. And I'm going to scroll down here. And the first few, if you're trying to use these, they'll actually bring up app source. So I'm not going to talk about or use those until I can get copies of them or people show interest in those. Now, if you scroll down a little bit, starts off with this Power Apps training for Office. Now that's a training tool. And so the one that we'll be working with today is the onboarding tasks right here. And does this work out of the box? I think this does better than the service desk ticket. So if I were to open this up, let's see what happens when you try to open up this template. And of course, it's going to take a while. I want to make you guys aware of a GitHub repository where I'm going to put all of these. All right, so make a note. These are the three data sources. I put that in quotes because they're actually API or connectors that we use that ties into your M365 account. So here's Outlook tasks, and this one is the main one for Outlook that you want to use. And this one ties into your Intra or your Azure AD information within your organization. So I'm going to click Allow. And I'm going to bring up those templates again. And while that's coming up, this is the repository that I started. We actually started working on these yesterday in a workshop. And not only did we work with this one, but we also worked with Book-a-Room. So if I go over here, start with a template. This one right here, above my head, Book-a-Room. So we worked with that one and also the onboarding, which is right beside it. So these two guys here. And what you'll notice is if you go to GitHub and you do a search for Power Apps Darren, I'm going to provide that link here in the chat. So you should see that. All right, so here's all my my Power FX snippets that I've been working on for a while now. And so I'm calling this project Stock Templates Remastered. I don't know if that's actually a thing. Remastered, I think that term is usually used with motion pictures, movies that perhaps are old, like Star Wars, and they sort of refresh, remaster, bring them to life or improve them somehow. So that's where I was going with that name there. So if you go into this repository, This is the repository that this repo is based off of. So what you'll see here in a folder called app templates, we have one for each of these two. So here's the onboarding tasks. And here's an Excel spreadsheet. So if you're unable to get at the data that this template uses, you can get at it here. And something else that you should notice is that there are two MS app files here. So here's the original one. And then here is the one that we finished up with yesterday. Now, I wouldn't say I wouldn't say I'm completely done with that. So there's going to be some new versions of that. But I'm also using a VS Code extension. This one right here, Power Apps Environment. And I've talked about this before, so I won't go into it too much here. But this extension allows me to connect. If I click on it, it's going to allow me to connect to a Power Apps environment. So for example, I've got this sandbox Git. And if you go into Power Apps, here's all my Power Apps. So if you want to get at the Book a Room, you could just right click on this, download and unpack Power Apps. So that's a great tool. I like it. So, and this is all up to date right now. So if you were to go into this folder, app templates, see onboarding tasks, and here are the files there. Now we just went into this, and this is what you're going to see when you try to bring up this. I want to get rid of these pop-ups, but if you see this button that says make my own app, you want to click on it, because what that's going to do is going to give you the data source. And if you have these two choices, go with OneDrive for Business, unless you really want to use your personal OneDrive. And this is what we got yesterday. So that right there shows you it is not working. It's not in a working order. And so we were able, now this, look at this template, how many screens we have. There are quite a few screens that are in this. So if you want to get at it, there's the original MS app file. Here is the data, and this Excel spreadsheet has quite a bit of data inside of it, which we can take a look at here. Now, something that you'll notice with these original Power Apps templates is that if you go into the data tab on the left side, you'll find out that you can't do that. It's not there. There's a great MVP out there, Microsoft MVP, Sancho Harker. He has got a great blog. I recommend that you check it out. He actually has a blog entry showing how you can open up an MS app file and make sure that that menu item is enabled. Now, what we did yesterday in our workshop is we created a fresh new application, and we have all of these data sources and connectors here. I thought that would be a good idea, is just start with a fresh new application. I'm going to close out of this guy. And so what my plans are is to go through all of these templates and to keep this GitHub repository up to date. So if you guys like the idea of that, you might want to go into the GitHub repository. I'm going to show you how to do this, and you want to star it, bookmark it. Okay. I love this feature of GitHub, and that's how I organize all the cool repositories that I find in GitHub. And if you're new to the repositories on GitHub, especially having to deal with Power Apps, do yourself a favor, go in here and type Power Apps and see what comes up. Well, there's Power App samples, and you can see Microsoft is the author of that. There's Reza, here's April Dunham. There's all kinds of good stuff, but the one to really note here is Power FX. So the whole language is actually open sourced. And here is a link to that. And I might as well, I do have a README in here that needs to be cleaned up quite a bit. But there's the link to that if you guys want that. And by the time I'm done with the live stream, I'll make sure that I commit and push all these changes out. And let's see here. I think I had a table. Oh, I won't mess with that now. I'm very, very easily distracted, guys. You guys probably already know that. Okay. So we got a lot of work ahead of us, and today we're going to focus on the onboarding tasks. So I'm going to close out of that guy. Okay. Now this is the fresh new one. I am going to go ahead and close that guy. And while we're looking at the original, if you look up here at the top, there is the name of this app here. And you see it says Remastered, Onboarding Tasks, Original. And there are quite a few screens out of the box. And what essentially I tried to do here, this app isn't too bad as far as in things that you have to fix to get it to work. Now, what you'll notice at the very bottom here is that it has a navigate. Now you're not supposed to do navigate an app on start anymore. So what you want to do is you want to put something like this in your app start screen. So if I click on the app and go to start screen, you'll notice that that is what I did here. Okay. I just wanted to provide the original without my edits. So I'm going to leave this one as is. And all the improvements, and I'm going for a completely stock look. Okay, so the application, how it looks and feels and functions, I want to bring all of these templates to that point. And I'm not looking to upgrade the appearance or add in a bunch of new features or anything, at least not now. Okay, I just want to make sure it works and it works well. So what I did start to do, because it was sort of driving me nuts, is if you look at the on start, there was a lot of code in here. So if I go back over here to the original and in the on start, I'm going to hit Control A, Control C, and then I'm going to bring up my trusted Notepad++. By the way, I had to reboot right before this live stream. That's why I was a little late. Sometimes Restream, which is the service I use to stream, does not like my camera. So it's not bad. It's only 150 lines of code. Okay. And as I was working with these, it just seemed like a lot of things could be simplified over an app formula. So I started doing that. So in a way, I am sort of improving the code, but the user interface, I'm keeping the same and all the features for now. Okay. So perhaps we should go over the features in general for this application. So the very first screen, and it checks to see if you're an admin. Let's go look at that. It was the last line of code there at the bottom. And it looks at this is admin. And let me zoom in a little bit. There we go. Maybe 100 is good. So look at that. We have is admin. Now that's a global, and it's a recommended best practice to have a GBL prefix. But this application was probably created before those recommended best practices were published. So it looks for my user email. Now, what is that exactly? Well, it looks at my profile. Okay, what's my profile? Well, it uses the Office 365 users to get my profile. It gets my email address. Now, perhaps the user function was not available back then. I'm not sure, but that is supposedly my email address. As you can see right down here, it's a data type of text. And there's the email. I'm going to go back down to the bottom. And if you guys don't know how to do that, I just sort of take that for granted. Being a software developer for over 2 decades, which is if you hit Control Home on your keyboard, you go all the way to the top, and Control End will take you to the very bottom. Now, we have this thing called administrators. And because these things aren't prefixed, you don't necessarily know what they are. So apparently it's only in one place, and I'm looking at it right here. Okay, so it's a table, and we didn't find any data. So that is a little perplexing that administrators are nowhere to be found here. Now, if I do a global search for administrators, we should find something somewhere. Look at this. Okay, so administrators is a data source. So if I go over to this one and we look at here, oh, there we go, administrators. So this might be a good point to actually open up that Excel spreadsheet. I'm going to reveal that in the File Explorer. And I just made a copy of it. I don't want to take the chance of messing it up. Okay. Now it looks like my video camera is already starting to give me some grief here. Let me see if I can fix that real quick. It would be nice if technology just worked. Okay. So you see all these tabs down here? We have administrators. You see that there is no administrators in here. Tasks, and we got some lipsum, some gibberish. Oh, here's some tasks to perform. Okay. Resources. So all these things really should be, database tables, at least get them over in a SharePoint, right? Because Excel is a horrible data source. So, and perhaps what we'll do is we'll create an ERD diagram out of this so we can get it into SharePoint. That would be nice, right? Okay. So we look to see in app on start if we're an admin or not. Because my email address isn't in there, then I'm not an admin. So let me go to this first screen here. Now this first screen is add app admin. So if you're an admin, this is the screen that we should come to. And whenever it runs, we have the opportunity to do a search for, let's say, ourselves or someone, and we would add them as an admin user. And then that would add them into the Excel spreadsheet as an admin. And any other users would come to this welcome screen, supposedly as a new employee, and they would click on Get Started, and they've got some tasks to complete to be completely onboarded. So you can see we have, we can set the company profile photo. Now what happens when I click on that? There we go. Okay, that looks nice. Now I already have my photo set, and I would imagine that this screen uses the, well, let's see what happens when I click on this button here. Okay, it brings up the file explorer. Okay. And this thing right here is a card. A card. Now, a card is a control, but you notice you can't get to it here. So this is sort of interesting. Now, you'll see these cards within a form. Also, you might find that you can see one if you go to one of these templates that's scrollable. So there we go. I just created a screen here. And if I go to that screen, here is a card. And this thing is a fluid grid. Okay. And now that we can copy these things with code, let's create a new file here. And I'm going to call it other controls markdown. And I'm going to make sure that's in the root of the repository. We'll get rid of that preview there. And what I'm going to do is provide the code because I sort of want to see this. Look at that. So now if you ever want to get at this fluid grid control or a data card control, I would imagine that we really don't need a lot of these properties to be set. We could just get at this here. Now, I probably prefix this with a canv. So this is a canvas CNV, canvas control. And here we have a data card 1. Data card DAC, I don't know. Data card 1, and we'll call this a control. And there might be a listing of perhaps what you should use as a prefix, but there's a chance that it's not listed in the recommended best practices because these are sort of rare controls to work with, as you can't add them yourself. But I'm going to go in here and type power FX. And up here at the top, I'm going to put some markdown. Very good. There we go. And let's go over to our get our source control here. And I'm going to commit all of this and synchronize it so you guys can actually look at these files right now. Okay. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to refresh this. Look at that. Other controls. We click on that. And there we go. You can copy this. And you can open a new screen here. Right click and paste this in. Hey, look at that. Now we do have an error, it looks like. And it's looking for that rectangle. So we could just take that out. And then that should work. I love this feature. Love it, love it. All right. So I don't have a need for that, so I'm going to remove that. And I want to keep this particular project file nice and pristine for those of you who want to actually use this. Now, what is this button for? This might have been something that I don't believe that was a part of the project. Now, what I do like about a lot of these Power Apps templates is that they have a screen in most of them that documents what's going on in regarding to the collections, which it has a lot of collections in here. And we got variables. The global variables are all in there. Okay, very good. Okay. So if we go to the welcome screen here, we could set up a photo for ourselves. And if we go to this screen, the write about me email, we can type up an email, and it's giving us an example to sort of introduce ourselves and to include any photos of ourselves. Now, what were to happen, or to put this in here? Okay, here's the button down here. Now, I don't know why it's all the way down there. That seems to be a little odd. Okay. And I don't know that I'm going to fix it right this moment, but let's go in and look at the code here. So it takes, now I want to click on format text, but because there's an error in here, it's not going to work. But yeah, we use Office 365 Outlook, and we use the send email. And we send all this out along with, oh, and it keeps track that we completed a task. Okay, that's nice. Okay, let's look at this my profile.display name. Let's see if we can fix that. If I go over to app formulas, I've already started to put things in here and document them, put a lot of code comments in here. And there is probably a name for them. Now I have them all listed at the top. I don't know why I'm scrolling around. Okay. Get entry user. I was looking for one that says get current user, something along those lines. And that's a type. So that doesn't count. So I'm going to use this function that I created. And let's go look at that. Here we go. So we set it up as a user-defined function. And we'll just pass in the current user's enter ID. And it goes and searches for the user and retrieves the top one. I mean, we actually could have one here that, you know, something I'm going to do. I'm going to improve this because this is actually confusing to me a little bit. This enter a user, I want to put something in here so I know that it's a type. So I'm going to say underscore type. I'm going to go up to the top and replace that. Okay. And also the other places that it used it, I need to replace it there. Get intra users unknown. Okay. Yeah. There we go. So I needed to define this type. Now, this is a new feature that was just released. It's probably still in preview. Okay. So if by chance you've created a project and you want to use user defined functions and types, you'll want to turn those on here. Otherwise, it's not going to work. And so I created this type yesterday that pretty much represents everything that gets returned from the Office 365 users connector. Now I'm going to go up here and I'm going to create a named formula fx, I'll say the current user. And if I say Office 365 Outlook, we've got a lot of methods or functions that we call off of this connector. And I'm going to type in profile. Nope. Gee whiz. Okay. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong connector, guys. So sorry. Office 365 users dot. Okay, this is a lot easier. So my profile v2. Okay. So that will probably be more efficient than doing a search like that other function had down there. Okay, so what I want to do is I do want to add some good code comments here. And current user, which I'll put right there. And that will be a named formula. Okay, so I did all that to do this. I'm going to go in here and double click on my profile. Now I wonder how many times this my profile was used. So if I say my profile, okay, it's used quite a bit, 247. Let's use a dot. Okay, we still have 247. And what I'm going to do here, I'm going to paste that current user. I'm going to put the dot there. Okay. And I'm going to hit, okay, it went down to 28. I thought we had you know what? If I took out that dot, 247, and you want to match up the whole word, okay. So that word is being used in other places. Okay. So I'm going to put that dot back in. Okay. I'm going to replace those 28. Now, what you'll notice is a lot of these properties that gets referenced, like display name. Let's see how many times that's used. Okay, looks like quite a bit. And I want to match the case And what you'll notice here, it's camel case now. All right, so I'm going to save right now to create a restore point, and I'm going to say replace all on the 94. And hopefully that fixes a lot of stuff in here. Okay, so now I can hit format text. This HTML is cracking me up. Let's clean this up a little bit. I don't know that it needs to be all formatted like this. And probably what would be better is if we used string interpolation. Okay, there we go. That looks cleaner. Now, if we put a $sign here, we can just keep this all as one string. Let's see. Here we go. So a lot of people find that to be nicer. Now keep in mind, if you have double quotes in there, you got to double them up. Otherwise, you're going to have issues, okay? Okay, so this code looks a bit better. Very good. Okay. So I could go here, write an about me email. Look at this, build your employee profile. Okay, so you put in your birthday. Now, whoever wrote this template, I think was a little bit of a genius because they probably didn't like the classic date picker. So they broke it up here in 3 different text boxes. And you can type in your information. And guess what this does here? When you click on this button, gee whiz, it updates Azure AD or Intra, or at least I believe that's what it does here. Oh my goodness, there's a lot of code. Right here, Office 365 users, update my profile. Yeah, so we update all that stuff right there. Okay. So we got that going on. Okay. Now, what else can we do in this application? So we've got some to-do items, and it's going to show us our progress. Okay. And this is all about us, this new employee. Now, if you look here up at the top, we do have tabs. Okay. Oh, look at this. So here's my team. And this would show perhaps my manager, my peers, and those that report to me. And we have a button here for team blog. Now that goes off to Microsoft.com. The team drive that goes to Microsoft.com and Team Hub. Now, are these real buttons? No, these looks like HTML. And then there's this variable. Okay, that's interesting. So this is a link. Okay. So there's quite a bit to unpack here and improve and use more modern controls and so on. Now, if I were to go over to the company tab, Okay. Now, Fabricam is sort of like Contoso. It's a fictitious company name that's used a lot in Microsoft training materials. So here we have another card. And cards are sort of cool. You can create scrollable screens. So it's sort of nice having this code that we extracted, in my opinion. Just in case you ever want. Now, the frequently asked questions looks like it's really messed up. So we'll have to dig into that as well. Now, what's going on with this error? Okay, job title. Let's do a search for job title, because I think what we have is it is a camel case in reality there. So we'll say job title, and there's 93 of them. And we're going to match case. Now, if I say whole word, how does that? Nope, it's still 93. Okay. Well, this is good. This should fix quite a bit of things. I'm going to hit save to create a restore point before I do a massive one here. Hey, Ian, you just arrived. Very cool. Thanks for joining. You're the only one that said hi to me so far. All right. I'm going to hit replace all. Okay. Now, I'm sure there are a lot of those types of things that we need to fix throughout the app. In fact, if we go into app formulas, if we go look at our type, I brought over a lot of the app on start code and commented the whole block out. So that's what that is. And you see here, when I created this type yesterday, I made sure to use the camel case, which is the casing that it uses from the connector. All right. So let's go around through these screens and make sure that we don't have any more errors. So we got, okay, display name here on this first screen. Now we're looking at a gallery. What's the data source of this gallery? Oh my goodness. Admin user input. Okay. Okay, so it, pretty much whoever created this template sort of created their own combo box. I like it. Picasso. And Dave says, I was just lurking. Hello, I work a lot with Power Apps and was interested in this topic. Keep up the good work. Well, thank you. Thanks for finding this stuff useful, valuable. And thanks for joining and saying hi here. Okay, so let's fix this. Let's get this working here. So we got job title. Now, if I take out job title, ew, okay, it's uppercase. Now, I believe what's going on here is if we look at this data source for this gallery, you see it says search user. I'm going to copy that because we have a version 2. And you always want to use the latest version. And if you're not careful, if you're not watching, you see it doubled up on my connector there. Okay, so what I want to do, every time that I see search user, I want to use this V2 instead. Okay, and apparently it's nowhere else in the app, so maybe take off whole word. Refresh. Okay, looks like we're good. Okay. Let's go in here and see if we can fix all these problems in here. Okay, so we've got administrators. Now that is referencing the Excel spreadsheet data source, administrators. So they're going to add a new record. We type something in here. And what's the problem? If I hover over the red squiggly, email does not match for text. Mm-hmm. Now let's figure out what this admin user email actually is. Now it might have been something over here in the original one. Maybe it's a global or something. Yeah, if we go the app on start and look for that. So on this screen, this is really the only place that it seems to be set. Suggested users on select. So let's go look at the gallery here. Okay, yeah, so this is an issue. So this should be lowercase mail. Hmm. Well, what is, yeah, this item, I'm going to just type it in lowercase here. And let's type in Darren. Let's go look at the data source again. Hmm. If not admin user, then we search for the user. And we've got an admin user input. We have a search term. Yeah, talk about a little Gordian knot here. Now, what's in value? Yeah, we're not getting what we expected here. So let me. Now, I do have some things here that might end up being useful to us. So in my snippets, if you go over to controls, there we go. And we'll go look for combo box. Let's go look at this code here. And I'm going to copy that. See if this is going to help us out. Okay. So we got search term. Search user v2. Now what's funny is I think before I was using the other version. Okay. Mm-hmm. These two methods seem to be quite a bit different. I don't know why we have so many parentheses here either. Okay, got this. And this admin user input should be renamed, in my opinion. That should be txt. So when we see it in code, we're like, oh yeah, that's a text box. All right, so we have that. And go back in here. I'm hoping that this is going to show us. Okay, so the value has a table. So what we need to do here is say dot value. There we go. Okay. Exception of type. Okay. So it's having a problem with user photo metadata. Okay. And we do have a way to work with that so it doesn't generate an error. And so we patch administrators and it still doesn't like this stuff. Space in here. And this is the problem with not prefixing things that you use. It's like, what is that? Is that a control? Is it a global? Yeah, that's a global. She is. All right, so I'm going to do a search for that. And I'm going to call it GBL admin user. And I guess we got 41 of them. And okay, I'm going to replace 42 of them. Now, this is what's really annoying about groups. You try to click on something, it just gives you the whole group unless you click on it twice. Now, there is a trick that I like to do here, at least now that these are available. A group, let's add to container, and it replaces the group with a container. So that's a little nicer. And then this guy, let's do the same thing to that. Okay. And then we got this user picker control. Probably really should be a component. Let's add that to a container. Okay. All right, so these are globals, and I don't think that they're really set up right. Um, and I think it has a problem with this guy right here. So we got the user's name and email. Now we have an on select, but nothing in on change. And whenever we click on something inside the gallery, you see that? Oh, now it's uppercase. Okay. Now let's make sure that we're using the right version of search user. Yeah, we're using V2. Okay. Get rid of that. It's just looks so confusing how it's set up, in my opinion. Uh-huh. Global admin user. And let's go see how that was used over here. Now they didn't call it GBL. Okay, it's being used as a string. All right. And I'm trying to figure out what they're trying to do here. As long as whatever they typed in, admin user. And if not, we're not even going to do a search. Okay. Ooh. That's a little messed up. TXT global. Do a search here on this guy. That's what happens when you have to do a lot of search and replace. That's something else that sort of adds to the confusion if you never give anything prefixes. So, okay. Wow, this first screen needs a lot of rework, I guess. So let's look in here. Now, what were they going for? It says value. Suggested user job title. Okay. Job title. And we got display name. Okay. Now, I'm typing here, Darren. Interesting. And I'm wondering why are we doing all these checks? No, I guess I get it that we don't want to do a search if there's nothing in that text box. But let's see. Why is anything showing up there? Probably because this isn't. Okay. True. Or that's going to give us everything. Okay. So I'm going to do that for now. And what you want to do is say to do. Eventually take out this true or. All right. So we have a container here. And I'm going to let's put a border to that container. Let's actually give it a background color. Okay. So we can tell what's going on. And let's rename this container. CNT for container. Search user. And we'll see what we got. Okay, so we got a little icon there. Interesting. Okay. We got that text box, and then we have a gallery. They got a little separator in there. Now, what I prefer to do, what I recommend in a gallery is not to have like a little separator. Something that looks better than having a rectangle separator. And I think my camera stopped working again. Here we go. Hopefully that works. Is you go over, and what is the color of that separator? Okay, that's cool. It uses the new theming system. And let's use that. And then you go over to template fill, and you set this up to be white. Okay. Now, does that look better? I guess. I don't like the very bottom of it. You know, that sort of looks a little weird. And it's all scrunched up. So if we want to see more people, we can give it the wrap count of 2. But let's open that up a little bit more. And we could set up the height of this to be self.allItemsCount times self.template size, template height. And then we also would say plus self.template padding. There we go. So there's no scroll bar for just 3. And this image here really should be centered vertically. So how do we do that? We say parent.template height subtract self.height, and then we divide all that by 2. And the X here, let's set up the X to be the Y that we have for self. Okay. I don't know that. Let's actually move this stuff. Yeah, I'm going to select all 3 of these. Move it up there. Okay. Set X to be 0. Now I'm going to set up this color to actually be see-through, so you see what's going on behind it. And yeah, we'll make this gallery have the exact same width as that text box. Okay. And I think for this container here, the height should be, let's see, the parent height subtract self.y. Okay. And I think this container is a little too high too. So if I move this guy down, no, I just messed that up. Let's make that like 500. Okay. All right. So whatever that button is. Now let's actually give this a proper name. BTN add button. And then for this container, we'll just say whatever that button's Y is, we'll go along with that. And it looks like all this stuff here. Wow. Yeah, my video camera is, gee whiz, so annoying. Okay. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. I'm just going to leave it off for now. Okay. And what we'll do here, I almost feel like all this other stuff should be, almost want to take everything out of all these containers and move these things around here. I guess that, okay, that's an image. That's a line. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to remove that container. Okay, I like that. And yeah, let's remove that container too. Okay. Move container. Well, we got a mess. And this thing is a rectangle. Okay. What is it doing there? Aha. Do you see what this thing does? So what they have is a nice blue color. Okay. Well, I'm going to copy that and I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go into at formulas and let's just create a theme, a color theme. I'll do at the end here. FX theme. And we'll say name the formula. Oh, wow. I guess my video camera just started working all of a sudden. That was... Okay. I want to call this light blue. Okay. And then I'll put a semicolon there. All right. Now we've got a nice blue color we can reference. Theme light blue. There we go. So I say we replace this rectangle with an actual container. It'll look a lot better. All right, so the name of this rectangle is that. I'm going to copy that. And down here for this container, I'm going to say CNT, paste. And I'm going to make this white. Now I can delete that guy. And all the other stuff can go inside this. Now what's great about these containers is we can give us some shadows and stuff. All right, so I'm going to click on the screen. I'm going to hit Control A, and then I'm going to hold down Control and deselect the container. And I'm going to cut. And I'm going to make this really big so it contains everything. And paste in there. All right. Now, what's the width of this rectangle? Well, it is 913. So, what an odd number. 913. I think I'm going to just try to make mine 900. There we go. And I believe what I'd like to do, well, let's go ahead and center this. For the Y, let's say parent dot height subtract self dot height divide by 2. And we'll do the same thing for x. Okay, there we go. Now what's the height of this? Let's make it 600. Okay. So we'll start to move everything downward. I sort of like what they did with these little lines. Here we go. So these are rectangles, and the color that they use for this is that. And then for the app formulas, is that the same thing? It's not. Okay. So we'll call this faint line color. And it looks fairly gray. I mean, might as well say 255 all the way across. No, that's not right. That actually would be white, wouldn't it? I meant, yeah, 225. Okay. FX theme dot faint gray. Okay. So we got those gray colors. Now, I'm going to look for, okay, so that is actually the lowest part of, so line 4. Let's make its Y. Parent dot height, and then we'll subtract maybe 100 or 20 or something. So we got that line down there. Now, something I'd want to add to this is some type of a debug. So let's see, show debug, FX, RST, FX, show debug. Named formula. And right now we'll just set it to true because I actually want to see what I'm about to add. And I actually would like to bring over some rectangles here. And I want to make this an awful looking color. Color green. That's not green enough. Color value. I want a pure green. Yeah, that's 5. Zero. There we go. That's a true green. We get 20 by 20. No, that's not enough. Let's go 40 by 40. Okay, there we go. Copy paste. Copy paste. Okay. In the visible on this, FX show debug. There we go. Okay, so now what we can do for this line, and these guys, let's make this 40 value meaningful by going into, and we'll create it as a constant. And we'll call it screen margin medium 40. Okay. Hit save there. And then for all these guys, for the width, FX constants, screen margin medium. And then for all the height, we'll use that. And then for these lines, so here's the original app, and they've got these little lines, yeah, above and below that. So we're not going to mess with that. But we've got two. Oh. Got line 1, line 2, and line 3. Okay. So number 3 and 4, I'm going to set these up to be very similar. So for the X, I'm going to use FX constants dot screen. There we go. And then for the width, we'll say parent dot width, and we'll subtract those constants dot multiply that by 2, because we want a margin on the both sides of it, not just the left side. Now, why are we using these little guide things? Well, I just wanted to make sure everything lines up, and then we can hide them here in just a second. So a lot of these things, there's a line 1, there's line 2, that text there. There's an admin header text. Okay. What else is in here? Like for now, I'm going to hit that X, and I'm going to say FX constants dot that. Okay. In this gallery, I always want it to stick right underneath this text box. So here's the name of the text box. Here's the gallery. We'll go in here and we'll say its Y plus its height. Yeah. And we might want to add like I don't know, maybe 2 pixels to that. And then this guy here, let's reference parent.height, and then we'll subtract 150 for now. That's just an arbitrary number, and that could change. Now we do have a little search icon that should be following. There it is right there. Let's go to its Y. Whatever that text box's Y is, we'll go with that. And then also the height. Let's make that the same thing as that. Okay, and the width, self.height. Now right now it's looking a little too big, and we're going to fix that here in a second. All right. So whoever created this app, they seem to like 44 for the control height. So if we go to other screens, do we see that? Oh, not seeing a lot of text boxes. But here's a button here. You see that its height is 46. So you want to be fairly consistent with everything across the board. Okay, here's 43. What's this one down here? 43. And over here, was this 43? Oh, it's 44. Okay. So let's standardize on one of these. I'm going to go up to the app formulas. Where's our code? Gee whiz. Like, really? Okay. Yeah, I'm in the wrong thing here. There we go. My bad. I'll mark it up to a senior moment. All right, so for constants, let's put in here input control height. And I guess we'll go with something like 44. Or 42. And what's nice about this, if we start using this, we could always change it very easily by changing it here. Why use constants? That's a good piece of information there. Let's see. Okay, for this guy, its height. Pretty good. And something you'll notice for the search box is that the padding, I'm sure, is set up on the left to make room for that search icon. And I don't think that's a good idea. I want the search button to really be on this other side. But I told myself I wasn't going to try to improve the UI too much. So anyway, yeah, let's look at Yeah, the search. And really all we need to do is put in some padding all the way around. So let's maybe use 8. Yeah. Maybe 10. Now, are they using a blue or a... Yeah, they're using an arbitrary blue color. But you know what? I think it's consistent. Like this button right here. Let's go look at its fill. Oh, is that the same color? I don't think it. Okay. I am going to copy that. And over here in App Formulas, I'm going to go find the theme. And we'll call this Primary Dark. And let's line all these guys up. Well, OCD with my my code. All right, so there is this blue color, dark blue color. And what I'm wondering is this blue color, is that the same? It's a little different. But let's use it here. Let's say secondary color. Now I'm just really curious about these two colors. So I'm going to add a new screen in here. Let's add over a rectangle. Put these guys side by side. FX, theme, primary dark. Secondary. Wow. Okay. That's the difference between those two colors. There you go. Interesting. All right, for this guy, let's tie into our theme and say secondary. And did we, yeah, we created one for this light blue. That's nice. All right. Now, let's look at this text box. What's going on with this border? Another arbitrary color. Look at that. So let's say medium gray. And I want to have all my grays together. Blue, those guys there, okay. All right. So now this border color, we have that medium gray. So what I'm going to do for this guy is I'm going to reference the text box. There we go. And the padding is a bit much. Maybe 40. That looks fine. Okay. There we go. And then we need to move stuff down. Okay, so we've got the text box. Right above this line, we got the text box and 2 buttons. So let's grab this text box. Y. There we go. To add an admin user. So we got that, the bold thing, and then we also have this thing. And let's go with its Y, and we will make it relative to that text box's Y, and then we'll subtract fx constants. Now, do we want to use a screen margin? It doesn't look bad. Okay. Please provide a valid contact. Well, that button looks a little weird. You see how it has more right padding? Oh, look at that. They've got a little plus sign in there. That's what's going on. That's interesting. Okay. Add admin icon. That's right there. Okay. Let's grab the reference to that guy. And we will compare to the Y. And then we want to center it vertically. I think what I'll do is I'll handle it a little bit like how I did the magnifying glass. So for the height, we'll make it the same thing. For the width, say self.height. And then for this padding, we'll do that in the same way. Tens. There we go. Now, it is there. Why don't we see it? Oh my goodness, it's disabled. Okay. And you see how this button has got a disabled color? Another arbitrary color. Okay, so let's call this disabled gray. And we'll set this guy up. FX theme, disabled gray. Now we can see it. All right. It's getting exciting now. Now this little line of mine, I'm going to let it shine. Let's say fx constants dot that. Okay. Now this little text box, it's sort of controlling all this stuff down here. So for its Y, yeah, that 150 was an arbitrary number. FX constants. And we're going to use that screen margin, but we're going to multiply that by 3. Okay. What do I want to move next? Okay, that's just an image. Let's set that up to use that. Okay. And really, we'll just put that right there. And wow. Does that look nicer? I don't know, I guess. I mean, we got a lot of space to work with here. Okay. Now we've got this app setup. Got a weird label here. And I'm going to make that 40. And we've got we got line 1 and 2. And that. Okay. So let's make these 3 things the same exact width. And I'll start with this guy. All right. 100. Yeah. 200. Maybe 160. 160 would be fine. Let's give this an appropriate name like LBL prefix. And for these 2 lines, we'll set the width to be its width. And the line 1 will be the Y. Line 2 will be the Y plus the height. There we go. Now maybe we want a little bit of padding around it, and we could do so by just making that label bigger. Okay. Now, if you want my opinion, I think it would probably look nice to be as white as this app logo. So let's say image app logo and make the width of this guy to be that. Okay. That line 3. Let's move that down a little bit. Not that much. Now, what is the font being used? Sage UI. Let's set up a font for our theme, the theme we want to use here. Open Sans. There we go. I don't know why this label is so wide. There we go. Let's make that like 220. That should be fine. Okay. Let's go find its font. And then here we'll say fx theme dot font. Does it look nicer than this? It looks about the same. Now this guy, let's get rid of these neon green things here by going in and saying false. And this is very similar. I'll put it in here. Okay. Now that we did that, those green things should be gone. Yeah, a lot of this text just seems to be really cramped. So here we've got a height of 50. Here we've got a height of 40. And here, yeah, that looks good. Okay. Let's give this a good name, LBL, customized body. And let's go find that line. We've got the name of this, okay. Line 2, where's line 3? There it is. We'll add those two things together, and we'll also add in the FX constants. We got the screen margin. Yeah, that's a bit much. So in formulas, we could have, for the constants, and we'll call this control spacing of 20. Where's number 3? There it is. Okay. All right. So the height of this label is 24, and the height of this guy is 17. Let's set them both up to be 30, not 304. 30. And this is going to be based on this line here. Now this line is actually a rectangle, and I'm going to say RET for rectangle. If you say REC, it might be confused with a record, database record. Maybe. All right, so now we'll say that it's y plus its height plus constants dot control spacing I think this thing would probably look better down here, but BL. So I got a question for you guys. So you guys that are live here, let me know what you think. Now, is this your favorite template that's out here? Do you really like it? Or are there others that you'd like me to work on next after we finish this one up? Wiring minds want to know. Okay, so for the X, we'll use the same X as that guy. And on the Y, yeah, the height. Now that's going to be right below that, and that's fine. So the width is 600. I'm going to make this 600 as well. So both of these are 30. Let's go with 40. And then make this guy a little bigger. Okay. Now this label up here is a 15 and this is a 14. I want them to be consistent. And then this is an 18. All right. Now the height of this thing, if I made it 50, okay. Now let's look at the width of this. I'm going to I'm going to add a label in here. And I'm going to say self.x plus self.width. And we'll give it a strange color there. There we go. And we got those little guides. Okay, so 860. Now it's Y is set up for that. Okay, so I'm going to copy that just in case I mess this up, because I want to move this right there. Of course, we did mess it up. All right. And we got spacing between these controls. So the X should be that button's X, and then we'll minus FX constants. And we'll say control spacing. What does that have a problem with that minus button? Oh, I'm not using the right button. This is the button I wanted to. Okay, let's go to this one. Huh. What? What's the problem? Oh, I didn't. Gee whiz. Button. Does it not going to allow me to name it that? Okay. And then we also want to subtract self.width. Here we go. Okay. All right, so you see these two things here, and it's using the 44. This should be fx constants control input control height. It'll be the same thing as this. And then this button here, I'm going to make the width of this guy be, let's say parent.width, and we want to subtract that button's x. That that's interesting. Okay, so we're going to subtract fx constants, control spacing. Oh, and I also need to subtract self.x. Now, this is weird. Okay, I need to maybe take that out. There we go. Now, what bothers me about this search thing here, this text box, it has a color. If I start typing in there, oh my goodness. You see what they did? They made this thing look like a modern control before the modern controls were out. That's pretty cool. Uh, is that the gallery that's showing up for us? It looks like it. But the line moved. Uh, wow. Okay. Ooh, look at that. Suggested users dot visible. It's like it got out of its way or something. That's interesting. Okay. Huh. And what is suggested user? Is that? Oh, that's the gallery. Oh my goodness. Gal. All right, so we'll go up here, get this guy, and we'll set up this gallery to always have the width, the same width as that text box. So that's sort of cool that they did that. And the visibility of this gallery. This is interesting. Like this is. That GBL admin user is completely blank. But over here, let's go do a search for this over here. Yeah, it's a global. Yeah, I get set to empty. And then in this on select, which for some reason I can't find here, there gets set to blank. Where does this thing ever get set? Add admin button. Well, you know it's a string, so it must be the name of the admin user. So I still don't know where that thing is getting set up. Maybe it's in the, when they click on the gallery, the on select. Yeah. That's what we're looking for. Their display name. Okay. Shoo. I'm going to do a search here for this admin user. And really, I want to put name in there so I know what, because it doesn't hold a user record. Yeah, we want to look for whole words. Let's say GBL. So it's 14 of them. Yeah, replace all. Okay. I don't need that label there anymore. So as the user starts to type, we actually do want to see that gallery. Huh. All right. Yeah, remember all this? Oh. if it's other than that. So I guess what's going on is if like you add an admin, once you add it, then it would disappear. Okay. I'm going to try to make this a little more readable. And yeah, let's take this functions out, just all over the place. Yeah, we need a parenthesis there. I mean, we can put and in there. That's not a problem. Boolean and text. Huh. Okay. Let's initialize this variable because right now it's just blank. Let's go over to app on start. Ugh. Yeah, we got some cleaning up to do here. Okay, let's go make sure that this guy. So if I start to type in here, ugh, why is it trying to? Oh, it's trying to get the photo because it wants to display it in there. Okay, so let's go look at the data source for this. Ugh. Now I've got a function that will go get a photo. Let's go get that. We'll see if they actually have a photo. Okay. I want to avoid any type of errors. Right. And that's what they're trying to figure out. Okay. User principal name. What type of information is that? I did not want to put that in the gallery. FX Pro, get my current user dot principal name. Oh, it's an email address. That's funny. Okay. Let's go down here. And instead of using an email address, let's this item.id. Now that's the intra ID. Now, doesn't that code look a lot better than that? And we're going to find out if we have a photo because it got some error handling in there. Um, Interesting fact is right now we do not have a photo type. So I can't even create a user-defined function that will return a photo. And this default profile icon actually is actually good for the purpose here. EAR. Wow, that's interesting. Okay. Well, that guy is still blank. All right, so let's go up here. Let's run that on start. I'm not seeing anything. Question is the gallery visible at all? What? How could that still be blank? Is that? Yeah, that's the same thing. It should have been now. Oh, I know what's going on. So the app on start is not going to work if there's any errors. Selected user profile. Why do we need all this? We don't. We don't need any of that. Oh, selected user profile. Okay. Well, what we would do here, because we've got that little nifty thing set up in app formulas. There we go. All right. So we're building a collection of those that report to us. My identifier. What are we holding in that exactly? Oh, it's just the user's ID, like an intra ID. Okay. That is so weird. Why? Photo. What? It adds it to a photo cache. Wow. Okay. And then we do a lookup for the photo. Okay. This thing, I want to keep, let put that in a special place right here. Because this stuff, um, And we don't even have to loop through this. Let's try this out. Let's try to make this simpler. We'll add columns. Now, what exactly does this give us? It gives us a table, okay. And we'll call this the photo. That would be interesting if, and I don't know why we would do something like that. We should provide a third parameter. All right, so we did an if. If the ID is not in there, okay. Wow. If they have a photo, fx has photo, we'll pass in that ID. Okay. If the ID is not in there, then we collect, then we look it up and put it in there. Otherwise, we just use that. Okay. Now we got the, okay, so this is going to be almost the same. Okay, so we'll grab that. Okay. All right. Do the same thing there. Now, get rid of that's extra stuff that's not needed. And then okay, I see what it's doing. So it's finding the direct reports to the manager. So we would have the same manager. Okay. Now we actually have something over in app formulas to go find the manager. Get users manager. That's what we should use right there instead, because it's got error trapping in there. You see that if error? Put that in there. Users will get a bunch of errors. Okay. All right, so let's go over to app on start. So we'll do something like this. Find the manager. Identifier.id. No. That right there. ID. There we go. Now the question is, I want to move all this stuff over to app formulas, but because we have an imperative function here, collect, we can't. And they did some pretty slick stuff in here. They've got a photo cache, so they're not going to get photos over and over again. That would be really inefficient and bad. So here's a manager list. So we're going to do something very similar to what we did up here. And what I'm going to do is does it just get one level? Manager list. Current users manager. Over in app formulas. Is there? There we go. So we could have just been using this. Simplify that code there. All right. Oh. My peer. No. I take that out. My manager list. Now, let's go look at what they had here. Manager list. They just went up one level. Is that? Yeah, there's no for all. It just goes up one level. I don't understand why they used a collection if that's all they're going to do. Now, check this out. Let's go. here in the snippets for connectors, we've got users. Ooh, I misspelled that. Okay. Get direct reports. That's not what I was looking for. I was looking for get manager rollup. This is how you get your manager rollup. What was I doing here? Oh, I was patching the database. Okay. All right. So I had a loop that goes up 10 levels. If manager equals 1. Okay. I don't know if I want to mess with that right now. What they did here is they just... Huh. Yeah. Photo. Hmm. Now, if I want to turn this into a collection, I could put square brackets around it, I hope. If the ID... Huh. It's lowercase ID. Okay. That's really annoying. Case is a little off. Okay. Get task folders. Outlook group ID. Do we have anything over... Yeah, in formulas. Huh. Do I have anything called group ID? Hmm. My group. Interesting. Okay. So I think we've got something in here for that. My task group. Okay. So if I go to app on start, ID. Huh. Okay. So that takes care of that. My Outlook group ID. Let's... Yeah. Okay. I'm going to do a global search and replace. Every time I see that, I want it to be replaced with that. And there's 15 of them. And I'm going to hit the button. Okay. My user email is in that. Now let's see what that was over here. Oh, it just grabs the current person's email address. So really, there we go. So now the app on start should work. There we go. Oh, we're still looking at the metadata. Ugh. Okay, that's on some other screen. Yikes. Okay. That gallery is still not showing up. So it's invisible because I still think it's a Boolean. That is hilarious. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is say text. And I'm going to back out and come back in because I think it's confused. Maybe. My video camera is giving me problems again. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, as long as you guys are able to hear me, I'll just move forward like this. All right. So we're back in. And we'll click on this gallery here. All right, so let's type in something here. Huh. Admin username. It still hasn't been. Let's go to app on start because that's what it does initially right there. Hmm. Well, I mean, it should understand that it's text now. Boolean, it still thinks it's Boolean. There we go. There we go. Okay. That's interesting. Hmm. Okay, so the height of this, let's make it like 900. Maybe 800. Or we could just say parent.height. There we go. What I'm going to do is make this guy, well, that's a label. So does that thing disappear based on what's going on? Huh. Interesting. Okay. I grab that. And we'll do a plus. And here we'll say control spacing. There we go. Now the labels inside this need to be moved over, of course. And we can get rid of that separator. Now I'm just going to make it invisible for a moment. This is an image, IMG. And we'll go here and here. And we'll go to the X. And we'll say it's X plus its width. Sort of multiply that by 2. And then its width will be parent dot template width minus self dot x. All right. Now the background color of this, I sort of want to go with FX theme, a light blue. Is that what this is? Yeah, light blue. Huh. This is interesting. Hmm. Yeah, the photo. Ugh. User principal name. Why are we checking for that? Interesting. Okay. User principal name. Yeah, it's just an email address there. Okay. Say ID there. As long as it's not blank. Actually, I don't care if that's blank or not. I always want it to pick something. And I'm thinking this guy. So he doesn't have a photo. So it uses that. That actually needs to be the opposite. There we go. Okay. Okay. Let's add on fx constants dot control spacing. I think that's going to look better. Yeah. And then for this guy's x, yeah, that's fine. Okay. I can take this out. Now we could make this bigger like that. Have it go all the way across so we have more room. And yeah, let's do that. So the width on this guy, we'll say, well, let's do parent width, subtract self.x times 2. Okay. And its height, I'm just going to make it 2 with the depth. Oh, take that out. Plus the padding. Uh-huh. All right, so this template padding, I think, will probably help us out here. Move it down there a little bit. And then we could set up, say fx constants dot control spacing. That looks better. And now, I mean, we could have 3 going across. if we wanted to. All right, so we'll take the name of the gallery. And the height of this guy, let's make this to be the gallery's Y plus its height. Plus FX constants, the screen margin. There we go. And then if we had taken that out, why is it still looking for a blank value was passed? Oh, that's why there was a FX. Let's go back into formulas and has photo. You know, this should actually, my goodness. Let's go for V2. And it doubles up. Messes that up. Okay. And I'm going to change this code up so it's more readable and maintainable. So if they have a photo, we'll get the photo. Otherwise, use that instead. Okay. And the reason why this is funny. It had an error if there's nothing in there. Aha. Okay, so this global admin name, all right, I'm going to take that out. Still thinks that thing is Boolean. And I set it to be a string right there. Why? Maybe there's somewhere else in the app where it tries to put a Boolean in there, maybe. Yeah, there we put a string in it. You know what? I have found out. I've seen the weirdest bugs I've never seen before when I'm using Excel as a data source. And look at all this. These are all Excel data sources. But I don't understand why this global will be messed up because of that, though. Display name. Okay. Huh. Yeah, this is truly an odd thing going on here. We should probably put in a limit to how many it returns. So for example, you see that like a top 20. This item.id. Yeah, even this is really weird. Yeah, this is really strange because there's not going to be any data there. If parent dot, it's not going to let me do that. Gal suggested users dot. Come on. All item count greater than 0. Then do that. And we've got this line. There's line 2. There's line 4. Huh. Control spacing. That should not even be visible. So that thing's blank. Okay. And the thing is, that doesn't mean there's anything in there to display. Let's see, and gal, let's just use it. All items count as long as it's greater than 0. Hmm. No, we don't need that anymore. What I would want to have happen for this line 4, you see it's Y. Huh. Okay. Now what determines the height of this container? We've got Hmm. All right, if the gallery is just the users visible, if it is visible, then that's going to be fine. If it's not visible, then I would want to use the text box. Yeah, I did not. I thought I was changing the containers height. Okay. This guy, its height. As long as that's visible, then this is going to be fine. Otherwise, we'll go in here and we will use that height. Okay. Do something like that. Mm-hmm. And let's say that there is the height of this. Oh wow, I got a question or a comment. Ryan, do these live sessions get edited into your recorded content? No. Now there's some times where I run it through a service that will make like little shorts. I have done that before, but generally speaking, no, I don't edit these. That's why That's why I go live. Video editing takes such a long time. I'm talking about like hours and hours. And maybe it's because I'm a little bit of a perfectionist where it comes to the. I don't even know if I want to say that. I don't know that I'm all that great about video editing. I think what I'd like to do is long as okay, so that height. Let's take this. And we'll also say self.all items count divided by self.wrap count. It's not going to allow me to do that. It's not divided by 3 and then multiply that. And then we'll add self template padding times 2. There we go. See, that needs to be a little taller. I think that should be. I want that to be rounded up. Look at that. We got a function called round up. Round up. Invalid number of arguments. Number of digits. 0. Let's multiply that. No. Width. Rows to display. I'm going to put that there. And I'll multiply that. Plus padding. And the padding is 2 pixels. Times that. Okay. Okay, I think I achieved what I was looking to do there. Now, something is really odd happening when we're typing into that text box. So if I click in there, the border disappears. Interesting. Okay. Now, if I hover over it, it's fine. It's the pressed and the focused. Hmm. Hover border color. Oh, it's using darker 40. Okay. So we got focused. There we go. Focus border thickness is 0. Set that to 2. There we go. Okay. All right. Now, just a bit more here. App formulas. For the constants, let's do container border radius. And something that looks good, I think, is 8. So if I click on this container, say fx constants dot that. So that's 8. And these controls are a little sneaky. You have to go in here and say self that, self that. Okay. Now, also what I'd want to do for the theme. Where is my theme? So we got light blue, dark blue. I want to find out what the hex is for that. There's the hex. And I want to darken that. Now I could, I guess I can't. Go here. I want to do a color fade on this. Ew. That's interesting. So this really light blue. Wow. Okay. Really looks like a gray. Now this blue color I think looks nice. Wow, I never thought of that being a gray. Huh. Interesting. Okay. So I want to go with this guy. So we'll say medium blue. For this border color, FX, theme, medium blue. Eh. Hmm. No, it looks sort of weird. Let's go with a it's primary dark. And try to lighten this up a little bit. Hmm. Okay, if I hit back, back, back. Something that we could do that would make a lot of sense. If we bring over a button, yeah, this clashes. So we've got mm, this thing. I prefer if we had a hexadecimal in there. Right there. Okay, so for this primary dark, color value, and we'll say that right there. All right, so now we'll go over to the themes, and we'll add a theme, and there we go. So now that's a thing. Call this app theme, and we'll use Open Sans. So now this button looks more right on. And now, if you ever look for, say, app.theme colors, and we could say darker 30. Lighter 40. Okay, so that sort of looks nice there. All right, and then I want to go find that line 4, because the line 4 is doing some weird stuff. I don't even know if I want that line in there anymore. And now I don't have to multiply that by 2. And now it just looks better. What do you guys think? All right. So what I'm going to do, I feel like we're done with this this first screen here. We did a lot of good work. Let's see here. Let's publish this, and no. No. There we go. And then the question is, do we have person, people? We'll go with people. This is an onboarding application. And then we'll also, yeah, we'll do that publish. And then what I'm going to do is get a good MSApp file for you guys. And I'm going to put that in here, and I'm going to put the date on this. So 2024 12/07, and I want to show you what that's going to get us. Okay, so I added this file right here. Commit that. I'll sync the changes. Okay, so now there you go. If you guys would like to get access to that MSApp file, it's going to be right there. And I'll paste that link over in the chat. So you guys have that. How about that? And if you guys join later, I do plan on going through all of these templates and sort of revamping them. And Very good. All right. What do you guys think?
Hey, if you're getting anything helpful out of this, a comment or even a like really helps the channel and lets people like you know this. Guys, for some reason, YouTube thinks you're going to like this video next. Let's see if they're right. Or you can select this playlist, which I've selected for you based on the content you're currently watching. Guys, gotta hurry, click one of them. Otherwise, YouTube's going to auto